Welcome. We're going to paint an October painting today. It does have a couple little trick-or-treaters in our little painting, and I hope the light is not reflecting too bad on it, but it's a very simple little painting, but it's got some detail in it. So we're going to tackle that today. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to take our 5x5. It's a simple canvas panel. You can put your name and title of it if you want to have this as a keepsake. You don't have to do it at all if you don't want to. We're going to make sure there's no debris on it. And we're going to go ahead and do something that artists do, and they call it killing the canvas. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our brush, put it in the water. We have a little stack of papers here that we can just dab it off. We're going to go into the brown paint. This is all acrylic paint. I'm going to touch just a touch of water onto that, and I'm going to start to kill the canvas. And what that means is we just want to get rid of all the white. I'm going to go ahead and go on the edges here all around as I'm covering this. And it doesn't have to be too dark. We can add a little bit of water to it. It can be lighter than this brown. It can be probably not too much darker than this, but this works out real well. So I'm just going to go ahead and go around this. Because if we have it, if we mount it on like this one is, let me show you this. This is mounted up. It is an acrylic, so we don't put glass on it. I don't know if you can see it from the side, but when you do see it, you can see those sides. And that's why we want to do this all around our canvas. So I'm going to keep doing this. And let me get around to this side. I'm going to do this as well. Just touch it on there. Put a little bit more water onto the paint over here so it's not too thick. And we're just going to keep kind of scrubbing this in till we have it all covered. And then I go ahead and hold it from the sides. And I kind of want to just do this in all different little angles. Let it be a little bit messy. Don't have it be back and forth this way or that way and look too perfect. We want to have it look a little bit like that. So I'm going to rinse my brush off very well in the water, because I hate when my brushes get a lot of paint up in here by the furrow, and then it makes it more difficult for it to be bending. So we want to make sure that we really wash that brush out. In the meantime, this is drying. One of the things that we do, and especially when we're at home, we can take this and take a hair dryer and blow it, which is obviously what you can hear that I'm doing right now. Almost done. I want that layer to be totally dry, because when I put more paint and water on it, I don't want that lifted up off of there. So the next thing that you need to understand is that there is a horizon line right here where the grass meets the sky. So we don't want to cut this painting right in half. We want to drop it down just a little bit, maybe a ½ inch from the center. A good way to do this is if you have a pencil, and I have a mechanical pencil, I will kind of look to see where center is. I'll drop it down, and then I'm going to put my nail right there to where that is, and I'll put a little mark here, and I've got it measured here, and I'll put a little mark here. And that way, I know that I'm going to be able to have a straight line for my horizon. So I'm going to take this but my head was in the way there. And I'm going to go across with my pencil. We'll cover up that pencil line. I don't know if you can see it, but I'll bring it up. We're going to cover up that pencil line. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to use a blue and a white and a black mixture to make our sky. And we're going to start with our sky first, and there's a reason for that. So let me get that brush. This is a 1/2 inch brush, a bright, and I think it works really well. So first thing I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go here and I'm going to pick up, if you have an ultramarine blue, which is what I'm using here, got that from Hobby Lobby, and I'm going to go into here. You can see my palette is very messy. I have a Stay Wet palette. So I'm going to take my blue, I'm going to put it over here. I'm going to pick up some white. I'm going to put it in there, and a little bit, just a pinprick of black. And I'm going to put it in there, and I'm going to start mixing it. All right, and that's got a kind of a good medium blue. Now, I'm going to move that up out of the way, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start going across here. And one thing that is kind of handy to do is either lift this if you don't want to make a mess over here, but quite honestly, this is what I do here with it. So it's a mess and I really don't care, but you could put a paper towel under it as you turn it around. And I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to bring this over. I can see that I need to mix a little bit more. I'm going to put my blue, a little bit of white, and a little bit of black. Go ahead and mix that up again. And just continue to paint. This is a first coat. I do want to get my sides. These sides. Over here, and I'll finish going across. I'm going to kind of be a little bit careful about that line there, because when I go back to do the foreground, which is our ground, I'm going to have a nice line to go by. So you're going to see some of the background coming through. That's okay. This is just the first coat, because we have to go back when this is dry. We're going to put the second coat on, and it's going to have the darker at the top. It's going to get lighter as it goes down to that horizontal line. And we will put in our clouds while that wet on wet technique, so that our clouds look nice and fluffy and wispy. It's a good thing. So as that is drying, we're going to rinse off that brush again really well. Going to wipe it off here on my towel, and I'm going to go in now and I'm going to do my green. So I am using here, let me find it. I'm using a sap green. I'll put a little bit more on here. There's a little bit more sap green there. And I'm going to take that sap green, put some here, go ahead and grab some white, put some there, and I'm going to go in and get a little of the brown and put that in there and mix that, get a nice, actually, that brown is a burnt umber. So we've got this kind of soft green, and we're going to go ahead in here, and I'm going to go just at the like the angled. I can show you this way. Angled my brush like this, just to go along that line. It's the only reason I'm doing that. Going along that line, putting in my first coat. And I'm going to go ahead and do my sides. I'm going to make an effort to hold this on its edges because we can, a lot easier to go in and touch that up than it is to go in and touch up the main area in the front. So I've got that. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get that in. So now we have the background to build our painting on. We have our night sky and we have our darkened grass. So we have that mixture. I'm going to, while this is drying, make another puddle of that so I have enough. I'm going to get some white in there. I'm going to go in and get some brown. And I'm going to mix that up so I have some ready to go. Very close to the same color. It might change a little bit, but that's okay because as you can see in this one, you can see the different shades of the greens in here. And back in here, we're going to end up with quite a bit of yellow and white in it so that we get the illusion that that moon is shining down and that's what's making the shadows. So this is I'm going to go ahead and rinse off my brush after I've made that little pile. And I already have some left from my blue pile, my night sky paint. Clean, clean, clean. And I'm going to step away and I'm going to just blast this with the hairdryer. That is dry. It doesn't take too long. So the next thing that I want to do is I'm going to get out a 1/4 inch flat brush and I'm going to have a number 6 round. I'm going to have those handy. I'm going to now go ahead with that 1/2 inch flat brush. And I do believe this is actually called a shader. I erroneously said it was a flat, but it is not. It's a number 16 shader. Works really well for these background small mini canvases. So now I'm going to go in here. Now it's kind of have to work fast. So it's one of the nice things about digital lessons is that you're able to go at your own speed. You can go ahead and click pause on the button right now if you're not live and recreating this cute little scene, and then as soon as you catch up, turn it back on and we're right together again. It's actually a very stressful way of doing a class. So I've got this on here and I'm going to go in with my blue again. I'm going to start like this. It's a little bit different. I'm not going to worry about my sides anymore. And I'm putting this on, and now this time I do have to be a little bit concerned with time, and I'll tell you why. Because I'm getting this on, and that's another reason why these small little canvases are kind of fun, because you're so much less worrying about the clock. Okay, so now I have that one color. Now I want to go in and I want to take just a smidgen of black. And I'm going to put that little corner of black right up at the top, and I'm going to make it darker on the top. I'm going to work that down. I want everyone to look at this painting and go, oh, this is a nighttime painting, you know. So here we have, so we've gotten that darkened down at the top. And now I'm going to just dry brush that off. I don't want any more black on there, but I don't have to stick it in water. I'm going to go back to my blue, and I'm going to go way down to the bottom here and put in just a little bit of light. And I want to lighten what's right at the line where it meets the horizon. Just a little bit. You can always put more on. That's what I'm going to do. You can even do it the way I told you in the beginning. You can run it along this way to keep that line, and then smooth it out and blend it back up into the sky. So now we've gotten a dark and a light. What I want to do now is I'm going to set that brush in water because I don't want to take time to clean that. I'm going to pick up that 1/4 inch. I'm going to dip it in water, and I'm really going to pound it off onto my paper towel. And I'm going to go in here now, and I'm going to get just a little bit of white. And I'm going to go ahead and put some little wispies in here. See? A little bit more. Get to see it. Just very light touch. Very light touch. You can go across. And just go across like that. Because I need to have a cloud where that moon here is dropping out of. So I've got a little cloud here at the bottom. We just kind of let it go off to the side like if you were looking out the window. I'm going to come above, not in the center, but a little to the right, and I'm going to make a little bit bigger cloud, and I did take too much paint there. Don't do what I did. And I'm going to go ahead and make a little bit of a top to that one, a little bit of a poofiness, and let that kind of go there. But I do want, I'm going to turn it, sometimes I have to turn my canvas to get the shapes that I want. I'm going to go ahead and I want to get a flat bottom on this one as well because I want that moon to come out of that one. I'm not going to worry. We'll put these fluffy little white thicker paint there to give that a little bit more definition. And then I'm going to go over here and do another one. I got to do that a little bit lower. It's kind of cool. You just see how you... like that, like that. Make it a little bit bigger. Go up there with it. It's kind of cool. And just let it soften its way out. You can put another little bit underneath if you want to, like that. However you want to make your clouds. So as you can see, I painted this one, and this one's going to be different. So I'm going to go ahead and let that dry, and I'm going to wash that brush off. And now I'm going to take my brush. I'm going to go to the little brushes that you have. I hope that you have some really tiny little brushes. And I'm going to go ahead and dip just the very point of this. I'll roll it because I don't want a big glob. I want it to look like that. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to turn this because I rest my hand so that I can just go dot, dot, dot all around and make some stars. Be careful because this is still wet, but this is a good thing to do to fill the time while you're waiting. And just kind of put some stars in here. Don't put anywhere you're going to put your moon, which is under this cloud here. Down here. And we may end up covering them up with a house or something like that, but that's okay. Just do it as randomly as you can. Just a touch. And cluster some, put some out by themselves. Some bigger, some smaller, just like the way skies are. And I think kind of like that. I think I'm going to let it go with that. And I'm going to wash my brush out. And I'm going to go back real quick because these little blops of paint for the stars will take a long time. You actually accidentally put your hand on it, it'll smear it, it'll actually look like a comet shower. So let me dry them. what I want to do now is we're going to work on the sky, and we're going to keep working down. So with that tiny little white brush that you just used, I want you to get a little white, paint straight white, and put a half circle under that cloud, just like that. And fill it in. We're going to let that dry. And then I've got some paint still on my brush. Now what I want to do is I want to go up in here and start just giving the tops of those clouds. And I'm just going to feather it off down into the cloud. Here's another. I think I'll make that a little bit whiter, brighter. And just like this. Maybe a little bit here. Kind of use that little. Try to use some of what came on there naturally when you were scraping it or applying it back and forth, kind of like a scraping. Then I'm going to go down to here and do the same thing. But I think I'm going to have this one come down. I'm just going to soften that down into the cloud. I'm going to go here, do the same thing. Just going to soften it down into that cloud. Just let it kind of dry, brush out. You can take a tiny bit of water, really small, and you can go back in there now and really soften that out. See how that water is just going to really let that blend, but honestly, just a tiniest little touch. There it goes. It's acrylic paint, but it can kind of work like watercolor too. And there's my clouds. So probably take a few minutes before that. It's almost dry there. That's why it's nice to keep a hairdryer here, right near where you're painting. Give that a little blast, and it's ready to go. So now I'm going to take my palette, and I've got a let me tell you exactly what that color is. This is a yellow light Hansa right here, and that will be this one here. I'm going to go ahead and take this small brush head, get some yellow over here. I'm going to break into that because it's got a little skin over it. I'm going to have it there. And I'm going to go get a little dab of white. And mix that in there. And now I'm going to roll it because I don't want a bunch at the end of my brush. And I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to go over that with a yellow white. And we'll have to do that twice. So this would be the first one. All right. So now we'll let that dry. We'll have to come back and give another coat for that. Now we're going to work on our grass. And remember, you have this sitting in the water. Go ahead and rinse that off. And could be faster than me. Maybe you've already got yours rinsed off. And I have little strips of paper towel. It works well for me because once it gets too much, I can flip it if I want. Or I can just say, done with it and get rid of it. So, we did do a drip, but just plot it. Don't wipe if something like that happens. Just take your paper towel and just touch it like that. So, now we're going to go back to that green paint. And remember, we had talked about making enough that we could go back and use. So I have some. So I'm going to go ahead and go along my edge here. Again, this is where we're going to be working wet on wet. We're giving it a second coat, but we're going to end up going into that pretty quickly just because we want to use the wet for blending. So I'm getting this in. Now the opposite of what we did at the top is we're going to go in here at the bottom with some of that dark brown that I talked to you about. And we're going to go ahead and paint it at the bottom. So we want to darken the grass at the bottom. So you can see that there's just a little bit of a darkness there. I'm going to go ahead and wash off my brush, pat it dry, and now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to basically put that green back on my brush, but now I'm going to go in here and go just the corner of my brush is going to have a little dab of yellow. I'm not going to put that yellow right on